Hello, and welcome to Creative Alliance's first ever Instagram broadcast. Thank you for joining us. We're doing this in celebration of Apprenticeship Week, and we really wanted to help young people understand what employers are looking for in apprenticeships, and understand what young people have done to get great apprenticeships, which is why we're doing this event, which is how I can get a great apprenticeship. So with us, we have an employer, Simon Washbrook from Popcorn, and Kai Prime, who's their digital marketing apprentice. So Simon, tell me a little bit about what does Popcorn do? What's your job?
Okay, so putting it very simply, Popcorn helps small businesses to scale up. The way we do that, we've developed a piece of CRM software that allows small businesses to bring all their prospects, whether that's social media, whether it's networking, whatever it is, all those prospects together into one place. They can see them all really simply and really clearly, so they know exactly where everybody is. We then give them the essential tools so they can nurture them along that pipeline, and then we tell them who's ready to buy and why. So that's what we do.
Okay, so Kai, what do you do in your role as a digital marketer apprentice?
So in my role, I do a lot of the blog writing and copywriting across the website, social media, all of those. We schedule those. Just make sure that all the marketing is coherent, consistent, and based on the branding.
Do you enjoy your job?
I do, yes.
It's hard with your line manager there, but yeah. So Simon, why did you take the plunge into kind of getting an apprentice? What was the decisions leading up to go, right, I think I need an apprentice to support me?
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of small business owners will relate to the situation. So you're working all hours flat out, you're wearing every single hat, and you're realizing that you need to start focusing on some area. And as with any business that's growing and scaling, you kind of need the focus and the time on it. And marketing is one of those areas which I've got a background in, so I've got someone I could coach really well and help support to bring along. And I just sort of say I wanted someone to come into the business, just really push and drive that area.
And when coming up, because I think, I know the first thing is to come up with a job description. When thinking of kind of an apprenticeship job description, what sort of things are you looking for?
So the way we approached it was obviously finger in the air. Oh, that's what I'll do. But what we did is I did two things. I did a bit of a skills matrix. So what that means is I kind of looked at what I needed, the functions that needed to be fulfilled inside the company. So I identified key areas. I then looked at my strengths and my weaknesses to work out and also what I enjoyed doing and what I didn't enjoy doing. And because let's face it, we've all got to do those sort of things. I then looked at that, and that's what helped me to form this job profile. So it was initially based around what the business needed. Then it was looking at where I needed support as well. So one of those sort of key things, which I think we've had a conversation in the past, was I have dyslexia, so my spelling is appalling, to mention a few things. And so one of those key things was excellent copywriting skills needed to be in there, and we wanted article writing, all that sort of stuff. So the person that we were recruiting had to complement me. So when I was doing my work, they were there as my right hand to be able to deliver what we needed.
So this was a genuine role, a need that the business needed.
Yeah, very much. We were growing, we were scaling, and without this role, we wouldn't have been able to do it.
So in your mind, before you got applicants in, what were you looking for as an employer? You said the sort of copywriting skills. When you got the applicants in, what sort of things did you see people put down? You thought, oh, that's good. It's good.
Okay, so one thing, as well as doing skills profile. So from our point of view, as I said, I knew I was looking for somebody with strong digital skills, copywriting, proofreading, social media, and an interest in digital marketing world and wanting to grow there. So that's what we're looking for. But the other thing I did for myself was I undertook a DISC profile. So for those that don't know what that is it's you kind of say profiling of yourself to kind of go, this is where my skills are, this is what I'm really good at, and this is what I'm like as a person, how I deal with people. So I was able to identify where I was on that profile. And then I looked at the role that we're recruiting for around the functions, and we kind of went, what type of personality do we need to fill that? So when I was doing actual recruitment and looking at the CVs, it wasn't, oh, they say nice. It was, will this person actually fulfill the role properly for us?
And how did, I suppose, Kai, who eventually got the position, how did they do that? How did they fulfil that skill matrix?
Turn up to the interview. No, so we kind of went through. So one of the things I did before the interview is we set a series of questions out. So we knew exactly. I looked at again what roles, what functions we needed in the job, and I designed a series of questions that were designed to kind of probe to see what knowledge they had around them or what willingness they had to do that. So when I was going through those, we were marking and scoring on every single one of those. So that's one part of it. And when Kai was going through, they did an absolutely excellent job. They came across really well in there. They showed excellent knowledge. So, for instance, one of the things was, one of the things that stood out, Kai had a degree, and she actually chose to go down the apprentice route as well because they wanted to get real hands-on experience. So that, for me, was a huge plus. That's kind of saying, I really want to learn, I really want to add value to this business, and I care. And then it's about going through and understanding the person, how they relate. So once we got ticks in all the boxes, we were then, and that was not just from function, that was on personality as well. Do they then fit the culture of the company? You know, are they going to be able to get on with other team members? Are we going to be able to have a good conversation? So we do every morning, we have a stand up, and the purpose of those stand ups is one, just to have a chat, make sure everyone's okay and what we're working on. So that's what it's very much all about, fitting a job and a cultural role in the business.
Okay. Kai, so Simon's mentioned you had a degree. What made you want to apply for an apprenticeship after your degree?
Well, I mean, the place that I was in when I finished my degree was that we were in lockdown, 2020. I needed to get back to Birmingham, and I just graduated in my dressing gown over like a virtual presentation. It kind of typified just where I was really. I didn't really know where I was going, and I just sort of felt a little bit like isolated from where my future was. So I kind of came across an apprenticeship, and it wasn't something that I had considered previously because the whole conversation around it being previously you go to school, you do GCSEs, A levels, university, job. But the degree that I had, I loved it, it was amazing. It didn't really have a set out career path the way that lots of other degrees do. So it was a really good start, but it didn't have that last push into a career, which is what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that I was stable, particularly in the era of a pandemic. So looking on, it was just on Indeed, and looking on that and seeing that actually there was the opportunity to learn there and the opportunity to actually have that experience, that was really important because it set me on a path specifically.
So what do you think you did well when applying? When you were applying for this role, I don't know how much you remember, but when you were applying for this role, what do you think you did well that sort of made you stand out?
I mean, I think you mentioned it actually. I really wanted to learn because marketing wasn't something that I'd really had much experience in with my degree. And you can have a degree in marketing, but then that gives you that experience. I didn't have that experience. I wanted to learn all about that sort of stuff. Also, the proofreading thing was quite big. We discussed that as well. Like, I really like proofreading. I really like copywriting and grammar and all that sort of thing. And that's how we complement each other. Like when we are going through notes and all that sort of thing, I'm constantly saying, how about we do that instead? How about we do that? And like just that collaboration was quite apparent from day one, I think.
And how did you? So there were questions before, wasn't there? And then how did you prepare for the interview?
I knew it was important to be myself,
Okay.
And to get the confidence up, because that was something that I'd always struggled with beforehand. That confidence of presenting myself in a professional environment. I just got out of university. I was quite young, and I was aware of that. But I knew that if I could come across as like the best version of myself, the one that is passionate, the one that is wanting to learn, wanting to prove myself to a business and really, really develop with the business, grow with it, then that could only come out well. Even if I didn't necessarily get the job, it was still something that I could replicate in other areas in the future as well.
And I suppose, that ended up fitting in the culture. The cultural thing's quite interesting. How would you advise somebody, not to change themselves to be for the culture, but to look at a company and see, actually, that's a culture that fits my personality. How would you advise? I suppose I'll give that to Kai first, but then send it to Sam as well.
I guess it's the way in which you relate to each other. Do you make that effort to ask questions? And you can find out culture that way, I think. Because I think one of the things that we bonded over was sci-fi. I remember in the interview. Just having those moments of how do we relate to each other, that can really show, I think, the culture that's there, and just having the patience and the honesty with each other.
How about yourself, Simon? How could somebody, help understand what the culture of the company is? What would you tell them to do?
I suppose from my point of view, there's two angles on this. One is pre-interview, one is interview. So pre-interview, what I'd say is just go and do your research on the company. I met some people for job roles where they didn't even have a clue what our company did. And that's fine not to know every single detail about a company because you aren't working for them, but to have a good understanding. But more importantly, what you get from doing the research is you get an idea of what the company's message is, what it's putting out, what it's saying about themselves, about their attitudes. So do that, try and understand that. So that can go onto Facebook, their LinkedIn, all that, their Twitter, all that. Pick up on the tone of language, because you'll probably find, especially for a small business, that's usually been set by the business owner, and that will reflect that business owner's personality. So I'd say pick up on that. But then once you're in the interview, as Kai's saying, it's about try your best, put your best foot forward, and the most important thing is listen and ask questions. Don't give one-word answers. But I think the sci-fi comment came. I made a small comment. Kai picked it up, and we just carried on. It became more like a conversation rather than an interview. And from me, my point of view, I found out so much more about the person and culture than I would have by just going through those tick boxes which are in the interview, which are based around the function of the job role. So yeah, be open, be honest, and listen and ask questions.
That listening thing's great, because I don't think many people actually listen very well. Truly listen to somebody is difficult, isn't it? How is there ways people can practice interviews and understand how to truly listen to what people are saying?
I suppose doing it with people that you're close with, because you get the experience of someone being honest with you. Because you've got that established relationship already, you're more open to criticism and improvements, that sort of thing. But I think also asking yourself how you can relate to that person can open up wanting to listen. So I think wanting to listen is important.
So for digital marketing, it's a really tough one to we've got another broadcast after this. We're talking to a designer. Now a designer can go and do design work. How can a digital marketer, what sort of skills do you need as a digital marketer? For apprentice digital marketer, you're not going to have the experience. So
I suppose from my point of view, one of the biggest thing is, and this is something you can't really learn too much, so hopefully this going to be helpful, but for those that have got it, it's an amazing skill, but they don't realise it. It's your intuition. You've got to have a gut, you've got to follow your gut feel, you've got to go to someone and say, no, you've got to be honest, because a lot of things about marketing, yes, you can read reports, yes, you can do the analysis and all that sort of stuff, but that only tells you one part of what's going on. Your gut feeling and being able to read the situation will help you respond. So start looking at how other businesses respond, and start thinking, how would I deal with that? What's their audience for this other business? What are they interested in? What sort of things do I need to say to them? I'd say that's probably a good bit of advice.
Okay. How about yourself? What sort of things do you think you can do?
I just wanted to expand on that really, because we're doing it all the time on social media. We're constantly interacting with businesses, and even if we're not doing it directly, we can very easily see where businesses are interacting with people. So one of the ways that I got interested in marketing was because I was on social media. So just utilize that, emphasize what you're looking at, what you're seeing, how people are talking as well, and take all that in.
I think a big thing as well is that social media isn't just always for your pleasure. Maybe look at it as something commercial. As a commercial.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think that's another very, very valid point. Is I say it's commercial, But also one thing that could be really good, and do you know what, it really impressed me if someone had done this. Like, no one's done it to me yet, so grateful for if no one wants to. But something that's really good is come up with a campaign for yourself. How would you tackle, you're going into this business, how would you tackle it? Come up with some ideas. Now, I'm not saying put hours and hours of work into it, just have some ideas. What could you do that you think could make a difference? How could you improve things? What can you offer to this business?
That's really good advice. So Kai, where do you think you are at with your career now? I'm Kai's development coach, so we are towards the end of your apprenticeship, I know that. So what does your prospects, what does your future look like?
I'd like to say the popcorn.
So,
It's an interesting time to do it. But
Yeah.
no pressure.
Yeah.
But like, how does it look for you? How did you know where you were a year and a half ago?
Oh, I'm so much more confident now. Just in my own abilities, and I know that I can expand into different ways of thinking. I was kind of settled with fiction and all that sort of stuff with creative writing. That I was fine. I was happy with that. But now I know that I can go into like a business environment and I can be situated there. I can settle and push myself. I've learned so much already just in about a year, and I'm going to learn so much more. I know, which is exciting, really.
And how about yourself? Like, what value is it actually bringing on a young person or an apprentice? They don't have to be
Fresh ideas, different perspective, because I've been doing it for years now. And it's just somebody coming in and being able to go and challenging you. It's yes, they take off a lot of weight off your shoulders and allow you to focus on other areas of the business, but they can come in and they can add so much more value, whether that's from just an idea, whether it's from let's try something completely new. But Kai's currently developing a social media plan for us. So just to clarify, Kai's been offered a full-time position, she's taken it, from this role, and they've now, one of the responsibilities now is to actually produce a full digital marketing plan for us. And they're going away with that, and I kind of gave a remit for what they were going to do, and they came back with an absolutely amazing idea for how we're going to tackle it. And that is something I wouldn't have potentially thought of if I hadn't given them the freedom to do what they needed to do.
And it is a cool idea, because anyway. Okay, cheers. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. So that is about us finished. We do have another broadcast with another Simon and Charlotte from Steel and Jelly at 6:00. If you're interested in apprenticeships, you can go to our website at www.creativealliance.org.uk, or if you're looking, you definitely want to do an apprenticeship, go to our vacancies page and have a look at the vacancies there.